Shalom, Israel. First and foremost, I'd like to say Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Kal Halayim La Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachakadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles of GMS for teaching this truth, and peace and salutations for all the Akim out there kicking this kicking this word in truth and sincerity. I wanted to do a video on brain health with a little bit of a backstory. This is a brain health, brain healing, and this first part will be about supplements for brain healing, and then Yahweh Ratazal, I'll do another one about foods that help with the brain healing. And this is stuff that I learned because I went through some shit. It was like a psychotic episode. So let me get into the story. So, before I was in this truth, I was dicking around a lot on the left-hand path. We're talking magic, sorcery, all that wicked stuff. And it mirrored what was going on in Egypt. There was a lot of heavy Egypt themes in what I was doing. Anyhow, while I was on this path, I met this Edomite woman who ended up being my friend. And she told me this strange story about an uncle she had who died mysteriously, who was working with the government to develop this nanotechnology that would get in the brain, and they were trying to use it to control the brain. Didn't really think anything of it. I thought, yeah, it's probably true, but I didn't really have any fear of it. And yeah, like I said, I didn't really think much of it. Later on, maybe like a year later, and I don't know how I would have been in contact with this kind of nanotechnology. I think coming from her, it was the Most High speaking through her to tell me that this is maybe an attack that I was going to be dealing with. Because I never met her uncle. Don't remember being kidnapped and taken to some dark facilities or fed any weird substances. But who knows? Who knows where it could have came from, and if it was even in my brain. I just know that there was a period of time where I really lost my shit. I lost my brain. I lost not my brain, but I lost a lot of cognitive function. I was really cloudy headed. I lost a lot of memories, long-term memories. I lost the ability to be able to recall things, and my memory was really jacked. I had a hard time working. It was a really difficult time, and during this time, I was under heavy spiritual attack. During this time, I encountered the spirit of Esau, and this is dealing with some of the witchcraft I was into. I was going pretty far down that left path, trying to find power outside of the Most High. So, and I ran into some scary shit. Like I said, I ran into the spirit of Esau one night, and there's also the spirit of Satan, same night. And that same night, I almost killed myself because it was so it was really hard to explain. Like the where my brain went. I went mad. I essentially went mad to the point where I didn't think I was going to recover. It actually took me many months to recover from this one episode, this one night. It was the strangest thing. Like time got really weird. I definitely met the spirit of Satan, spirit of Esau that night. The Most High spoke to me that night as well, and was basically saying that I was going to be killed if I didn't eventually come back to him. And it took me a while to get to this truth, but looking back, I understand that's pretty much what he was saying, that I needed to stop dealing with this witchcraft and come back to him. So it was like seriously a strange thing. Even the next day, even my car was broken. It was drivable, but there was such a huge impact that night that messed with my head for months. My car was like something was wrong with my car. It was just suddenly that night all these things went wrong. And then, like I said, I lost a lot of cognitive function. So like I said, maybe I'll share the story someday on how I eventually got back to this truth. But during this period of time, I was trying to heal my brain so I can get back to normal, so I can work and survive and feed myself, because I was losing it. I was gone. So I did a lot of research on brain healing, and so that's the information I want to share with you in this video. Is all the supplements I took, and some of the things I did to try to get my brain back in shape. So the first thing I looked into was fish oil. Fish oil is really good for the brain. It has the EPA and DHA, which are fatty acids. Very good for healing the brain. If you're shopping for fish oil, you want to look for fish oil that has that's high in EPA and DHA compared to the fish oil milligrams. So what you do is look at the milligrams on the fish oil. It'll say like 1,200 milligrams of fish oil, but then it'll also say under that like 500 EPA, 500 DHA. You want to get the highest DHA EPA ratio to fish oil milligrams to get the most of those fatty acids. Also, what you want to do when shopping for fish oil is avoid a lot of the brands, because fish oil is known for having mercury in it. It comes from fish from the sea. If you don't know, fish oil or fish in the sea are polluted with mercury. So you want to shop for trusted brands. And I have a couple of brands here. Nordic Naturals is a trusted brand, has very low mercury, and also Carlson Nutritionals, a very good brand. And those are the two brands that I stuck with for the most part. Sometimes I dabbled with some cheaper brands, but I researched whether they were higher mercury or not. They would be low in DHA and EPA, but I would just take very high doses. And for this fish oil, I was taking very high doses compared to what they recommend. So let's say on the bottle it said take 2 tablets once a day. I was taking like 9 to 12 once a day, and this was recommended by some site. I don't have the resource now, but there's a site that recommended if you're doing some brain healing to take very high doses of fish oil. The only downside to taking the high doses of fish oil is that fish oil is a blood thinner. So let's say if you're prone to getting cut and bleeding heavily, your blood won't clot as well, and you got to be careful that you don't sustain serious injuries and bleed out when you're taking high doses of fish oil. So on to the next. I also took lion's mane mushroom. Lion's mane is really good for the brain. Stimulates the nerve growth factor in the brain, and helps with the proliferation and survival of neurons. Also, what it does, it decreases depression and anxiety, and that's another thing I was going through was depression, because my cognitive function was so low and I was so far away from where I used to be, that I was depressed most of the time. So lion's mane Fish oil really helped with that. Another another one that really helped with depression is St. John's wort. Helped with the mood and helped me, like I said, helped me from being depressed. Also made my mind pretty clear instead of cloudy. And then another one that I took, which I don't want to say I don't recommend it. It's just a different one. So it's lithium orotate, and lithium is prescribed for people who are going through psychosis or schizophrenia. So you're not going to be able to find the lithium that they prescribe, from your doctor. So there's a over the counter brand called Lithium Orotate. And during this time, I was having some major psychotic events, and one of the Yawk reached out to me, and he shared something that made me realize, okay, maybe this was a thing, because he feels like he is also under attack by nano, and he has these strange thoughts that aren't his thoughts. And that was one of the biggest things that I was suffering from, was having these thoughts in my head, like just far out bizarre thoughts, things that were way out of character for me to think, that would just pop into my head, and I mean, gosh, I'm embarrassed to share one consistent thought that I had, but it was way perverted, way not like me. And every time I had the thought, I was like, where's that coming from? Like, that is not me. I've never had thoughts like that before. And I felt disgusting every time I had that thought, but it was in my head, and it was a thought that was continually popping up. So yeah, it's like schizophrenia, hearing voices in my head, or having these thoughts that aren't mine, being around certain heathens. They would affect. This was the oddest thing. They would affect. I guess you could say I don't want to say my reality. How do I put this? Like it felt like they could read my mind. Like I would have certain thoughts, and I would be around heathens who would respond not to what I was doing or saying, but they would respond to what I was thinking. Like dialogue would come up that was related to something I was thinking that was not coming out of my mouth at all. Craziest stuff. And it was always kind of this doom and gloom. It's all negative stuff that they would relate to. This is how I know that there's a spirit out there that can be tuned into, and I'm not sure if the nano, if it's real, if it can tune into that or not. I don't know. It's crazy. Anyhow, lithium orotate really helps stabilize my mind when I was having these psychotic thoughts. This is probably what was the biggest thing that helped me be able to get back to work, because I would be super paranoid about all sorts of things and people. I was having a hard time being around people, but when I took the lithium orotate alongside with all these other supplements, it was just like, okay, I think I can handle this. Those crazy thoughts started going away, and reality became a lot more bearable for me. So another one, which is it's actually a spice, is turmeric. Now I didn't really notice the effects of this, but I would take it continually because I knew that it was really good for healing the brain. It's an anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. You want to take it with a little bit of black pepper. Always, there's a chemical in black pepper called pepperine that increases the uptake of turmeric in the bloodstream by a significant amount, like 2,000%. So it's almost ridiculous not to take turmeric with black pepper. What turmeric also does is increase oxygen flow in the brain. So all these supplements, fish oil, high doses, lion's mane. I didn't take it for long. It's kind of expensive, but I think I bought a couple months worth. Lithium orotate, St. John's wort, turmeric. All these together on top of meditation, stress relief, and even though I wasn't in the truth back then, I was still praying. I'd always had a connection to the Most High, which is probably how I was able to get through this without dying, without wanting to kill myself. I mean, seriously, this was so bad. There was two situations where I wanted to kill myself. The first time was just like, well, both times it was actually just Satan in my head. Almost, it was suggesting that the only way out of this was to end my life. So, and through all this, the Most High stuck with me, brought me through. All praises to Him, because wow, I couldn't have made it. Like even with all this stuff, it didn't matter. Like my life was so bleak. Like the only thing that got me through was the voice of the Most High telling me that I would be saved if I came back to Him, even though at that time I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know about this truth. So now I'm finally here, and man, I'm so grateful. So let's see. Oh, you know what? I got one more mention here, and this is coconut oil. Coconut oil, or MCT oil. I was taking a lot of coconut oil, a lot of MCT oil. And coconut oil has got medium chain triglycerides. That's the MCT oil. It's anti-inflammatory. It's great for Alzheimer's or dementia, which is one of the reasons why I think it really helped me with my memory. It's so the brain, like the body, it consumes glucose for energy. And what happens with dementia, Alzheimer's, they call it a type 3 diabetes, because brain cells stop being able to consume glucose for energy, and then they start dying. So coconut oil helps because the body can also consume ketones for energy. And so ketones is fats, essentially. So if you are really having problems with like memory, and you think you're having like brain failure, I highly recommend a Ketosis Diet, which is essentially cutting out all the carbs and getting your body into consuming ketones for energy. You can look into this. Look up Ketosis Diet. Maybe I'll do a video on it. It wasn't really a big life changer for me. I did do some Ketosis Diet during this, but not much. Maybe I would do it for like a week, 2 weeks, and then stop. But yeah, in general, the coconut oil, that's what we're really focusing on here. I'd consume a lot of coconut oil, a lot of fish oil, a lot of coconut oil. Very good for the brain. And yeah, that's it. Let me get into a scripture here. Slovakia, 1 second. Now, even though, like I said, I wasn't in the truth, I had this scripture because I knew that I was under attack, whether it was spiritual, technological, both. I think it was kind of both from what I was going through. It felt very, very technological. I mean, I had at one point it got so bad, my brain, that I felt something like split open on my head. And something was coming out of my head, like a mucusy something. Like there was something definitely physical going on in my brain that I felt like was really trying to hijack and take me over. But like I said, this scripture right here, along with all this stuff, having the faith, pulled me through, because I knew this. So this is, y'all probably familiar with this. Isaiah 54:17. No weapon that is formed against me shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord. I thought about that one a lot, because I was under attack, and I thought, you know what? This is scary. This is terrifying, but I'm going to get through it, because I'm trying to stay righteous. I'm trying to follow the Lord, even though I don't know where I'm going right now. And if I feel like in my heart that I'm doing the right thing, then he's going to stick with this one. This scripture right here is going to stay true in the heart, and it pulled me through. So hope this was edifying. Like I said, Lord willing, I'll do the food part of this because I also had some major diet changes during this time, but there's just so much I didn't want to cram it all into one video. So Lord willing, this was edifying, and we'll see you on the next. Shalom.